Right then, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa cruising home by 7 wickets yet again. They did that in Joburg and they've done that in Cape Town, and that meant it's a 2-1 series win for South Africa. Dean Elgar and company must be chuffed, especially Keegan Petersen, because he produced not just the Man of the Match award, but the Man of the Series award. And we have a man who called correctly, of course, prior to the series which began, and that is JP Duminy, because he called India's win, he called South Africa's win, and he called South Africa take home the series as well. JP, you must be absolutely chuffed. I know that you were being busy right now in Durban coaching your Lions team. How did that go, first and foremost?
Yeah, we only, firstly, how you doing? And I hope you're well. Good to see you having smiles on your face post a 2-1 series defeat. But yeah, just with regards to the Lions, it's going pretty well. We just finished day 2. So the game is still evenly poised. The boys batted nicely. We have a sniff with them 4 down for 180, I think. So we still ahead by about 230 runs. So a big day 3 ahead tomorrow.
Super. JB, I mean, just coming to this magnificent win from South Africa, I say magnificent because, look, at the end of the day, they made it look like absolute ease out there, especially Keegan Petersen, because he was the man of the series, was the man of the match. My first question to you here, was he the difference between the two sides in the series?
I think there's a couple of things. He would definitely stand out. I think if we look at the context of the seam attacks and how potent they were across the series, I think South Africa will definitely stand out. Now, we look at the first test match, obviously India blowing South Africa away. The seamers really putting in a major performance to take 20 wickets. And then we look at the 2 test match wins for South Africa, both by 7 wickets. And if you think about the context of those 7 wickets, those are the critical pieces in terms of those seam bowlers. Taking 20 wickets is how you're going to win a test match. And yes, you've got to give credit to Keegan Petersen. I think he's thoroughly deserved the MOM accolade as well. And the reason why I say that, pretty much all the surfaces were sort of leaning towards bowler friendly, seamer friendly. The spinners didn't really play that big of a part. And you really had to knuckle down to put in a big performance with bat in hand. And for him to be so consistent across 2 test matches, you could have easily gone the route of a KG Rabada, who was the leading wicket taker. And he certainly set up stall as the leading as the leader in the bowling attack. So he also deserves a shout of praise for how he performed. But I'm so chuffed for Keegan Petersen, to be thrown in, as I've mentioned before, at number 3, and to really put in those performances. His family and friends and the entire country will be extremely proud of him.
Absolutely. Now, before I pick the bones out of things further, I want to ask you about what you made of the whole decision review system, which has certainly got some headlines going here, at least in India, with a lot of the players, of course, getting emotional and blame the DRS, but fans back home also left scratching their head about how this actually works out. I mean, if you're a player, JP, which you've been, do you kind of get frustrated and vent on DRS because certain calls goes against you?
I haven't particularly seen where you vent against DRS. It's been obviously a platform that has been researched completely and been approved by the ICC. So it's a tough one to kind of throw your toys out of the cot around blaming DRS. Yes, you will scratch your head and think, well, jeepers, the ball hit below the roll. I mean, how does it go above the stumps, particularly from a spinner? But unfortunately, that's something as a player that's out of your control. So you also got to take into consideration the heat of the moment. The series is on the line. So you kind of venting at certain moments. But unfortunately, playing elite sport, those are the kind of things you got to guard yourself against. I've certainly been found wanting on a few occasions as well. But unfortunately, those moments you have to take responsibility for and put up your hand and say, look, I got that wrong. I got caught up in the heat of the moment. I got to respect, the people that do the hard work behind the scenes and make sure we give those opportunities a chance, particularly from a DRS perspective. So yes, there's many opinions flying around currently, but I think we don't want to take the shine away from what a great test series it has been. from both teams. They fought tooth and nail to give themselves a chance in the series. So yes, you have to give credit to South Africa and how they fought back in the last two test matches. But like I said, you don't want to take the shine away from it. It's been an exciting series, to say the least.
Absolutely, by all means, the fact that South Africa have completely outplayed India, Virat Kohli admitted not that just in the post-match presser, but also in the post-match presentation where he said South Africa were head and shoulders above us in terms of chasing in that particular second and third test. Now, he also stated batting as India's main flaw in this series. I'm surely thinking you'll agree with him, or did the drop in standards from Shami and Bumrah kind of levy that out in many ways?
Yeah, I think the batting will certainly be highlighted from an Indian perspective. And when it comes to South Africa, yes, particularly in the fourth inning, South Africa really stepped up and put in some big performances. But unfortunately, partnerships are something that is truly important when it comes to Test cricket and building a strong first innings. And that's where South Africa probably dominated over India. They put in some really remarkable partnerships to give themselves a great chance. Yes, there'll certainly be some question marks around a few of the top order batters, whether they'll still be around, particularly in the next series for India. Thinking about Pujara and Rahane, who've certainly been in the headlines around whether they deserve their spots. And I was somebody that advocated for them getting another opportunity, which I still stand by. And I was thinking about their age and how many test matches they've played for India thus far. Both of them are 33 years of age and 94 and 81 test matches respectively. So they've certainly served their country and their team really well. And, in these situations, we can easily get caught up in, well, they need to be dropped and sort of the next generation needs to be coming in. But I also want to give it an opportunity to praise them, for the hard work that they've done, for the sacrifice that they've made for their country. They've put in some magnificent performances over the last couple of years to give their team a great chance of beating Australia in Australia, England in England, and all those kind of things. We spoke a couple of weeks ago about how massive 2021 was for India. And unfortunately, there's been a great start for 2022. But yeah, there's certainly certain aspects of their game that they need to go back to the drawing board, and the batting is certainly going to be highlighted.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question, funnily enough, because you mentioned Pujara, Rahane over there. Let me just throw out some stats for all the viewers joining us right now. Because, look, in this series, Pujara and Rahane accumulated runs together, 270. Now, the man of the series, Keegan Peterson, 272, which just speaks volumes about not just how bad the form they've been in, Pujara and Rahane, but also how good Keegan Peterson's been in. The latter then, Keegan Peterson, man of the series. Is he your man of the series as well? Is that well vindicated out there with what you saw in the middle?
100%. And I mentioned that earlier, and I gave the context that I gave was, the conditions that he faced as a number three were certainly challenging from a seamer's perspective. And the way he gutsed it out, the resilience he's shown, understanding his game plan according to the conditions were really sound. And to do that as I wouldn't say a young man, he's been around the circuit for a while, but obviously in his, I think it was 6 or 7 test match, to produce the performances that he did, I think he thoroughly deserves the accolades. He thoroughly deserves the praise. And I think South Africa have been searching for that number three for a while now, and I think he's certainly claimed it with both hands.
Right, JP, let's wrap up this post-mortem of the series that we're right now dissecting into with asking you about your best moment this series. There have been quite a few. Rishabh Pant's 100 this year. Another one in January, I must say. KL Rahul, of course, in his first test heroics. Not to forget Marco Jansen and Keegan Peterson, like you touched upon. Anything which stands out to you when we look back at the series in retrospect?
I think, what stood out for me was Dean Elgar. And the reason why I say that, coming off the back of a test loss after the first test match at Centurion, he would have had some hard words. We've mentioned over this conversation over the last couple of weeks what type of character he is. He's quite a hard character, tough character, and you'd want to lead from the front. And that's why I've chosen him as something that has really stood out for me. He had spoken in the press about, senior players needing to stand up, and he took the bull by the horns in making sure that he was the one that led the charge when it came to that. And I think back to that fourth innings, South Africa's second innings at the Wanderers, and the blows that he took on the body, and still gutsed it out for his team. So that for me showed great leadership, showed great resilience and grit, which certainly led his side to a magnificent Test victory, and gave the sort of spark that South Africa needed to believe again. South Africa comes from a great history and heritage of great performances when it comes to Test cricket and just cricket in general. So this will stand in good stead for that belief to come back from the general public of South Africa and the fans, to believe that South Africa can find their way again.
Absolutely. Now, on those words of wisdom, it's time to wrap up on cricket.com. It's been absolutely terrific to pick the mind of JP Duminy throughout the course of this Test series. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because you can subscribe to the cricket.com YouTube channel and get him on again for the ODI series, which is going to be a riveting watch as well, with KL Rahul taking over as ODI skipper. So that's going to be a new era. Rahul and Rahul, if you know, you know. JP, will catch you in a bit, but we appreciate your time, drinking some fine wine and soak in the South African wind, because truly it's been extraordinary.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.